Oh, my young tyros, this market is all about the United States and Chinese tariff negotiations. Will these two global economic powerhouses have a meeting of the minds, come together for the greater good of this world? Or will the hubris prevail, and our world, as we know it, will disintegrate right in front of us? Only time will tell, but for now, that dark cloud looms large over this market. All right, enough of the fun and games, but what are you going to do? Every once in a while, you got to laugh at the circumstances. As they say, laughter is the best medicine, and we can all use a little bit of that from time to time. Now, we're going to talk a lot in this Market Mutterings about the trade war, about this G20 summit here that's happening over the weekend, as well as these tariffs and everything else, and the market sensitivity to that. Before we get started, I do want to say I hope you had a great trading month of November. For us, it was the single best month of the entire year. If you remember, last month I said that was the second best month I had all year. This was the best month I had all year. So if you guys are looking to try to learn to navigate through this wacky market and this type of volatility and behavior, take a moment, visit thelincolnlist.com, click on the Trade Room tab. You can start trading with us right away. So let's just talk about this, because as this week progressed, especially on Friday, this market became ultra sensitive to any tariff news. It's like, and it felt to me that every time the market would sell off or start to drift or start to fade, that there would be this soundbite or this clip that come from this tariff. And it's the same stuff that's just been recycled. Yes, we're in talk. Nothing is concrete. We see talks improving. It's nothing that's definite. Now there's going to be this meeting here on Saturday. And I think what you saw was the consensus that the herd thinks it's going to be great. This is going to be a good thing. And everybody bum rushed right there at the end on Friday to try to buy as much stuff as possible. Now that does make sense, because here's what I'm going to say. These two leaders can get into a room and they could urinate on each other and pull each other's hair out and throw physical punches. And they'll just clean themselves off, come out of the room and say, everything was good. We're working well. So it's going to be positive. I would be shocked if it wasn't, if they just come out, oh, that was a disaster. I don't think it's going to be like that. And you're probably going to get a little bit of follow through. However, I think if there is a deal, whenever day it gets done, maybe it's something that happens now, maybe it's something that drags on until the first quarter of next year, who knows? At some point, you're going to get if not now, you're going to get a bump out of this market from it. And I think after that, you're going to have to sit back and rehash where you are with this market and the behavior. Because if you remember, just last week, it was nothing but selling. This week, it was nothing but buying. So we're really going to have to see how this whole thing plays out. Again, trade your game plan, trade what you know, and just go with it day by day. So as we're looking at this market, we're sitting right here, everyday green. Here's the SPY. Almost made a double bottom back down into late October lows, and you're traded right back up here at the close to the 200-day moving average. Now again, this is nothing to be surprised about. The market bounced this last time, went from 263 to 279. So there's a very good chance that with a little bit of news, a bump on Monday, that you might start sniffing around 280s, or you might work your way back up to that. Or there's two areas that I would want to look at. You would want to look at the 50 moving average, which is like 277. Let's just say 277, give or take. Up there around 277, the 50 moving average on the daily chart. If you can make it through that, then maybe 280. I just feel, though, that regardless, you've had such an enormous run here that, you know, you're going to have to either let this digest a little bit, or any sort of euphoric move on that is probably going to need to be faded, to be honest with you. I don't know if it's going to be able to stick. You've already made a pretty massive move, every day being green. I've already said that. So watch those levels. Now, if you get the rejection, you start to see in the slowdown, there are a handful of stocks here that look relatively good as we start moving through the week. So one of the ones I want to take a look at here for you and share with you some of the ideas. I'll give you a few longs, I'll give you a few shorts. So we'll start out with the longs. I do like this BABA regardless of what happens, because if you look at this chart down here, this is a pretty good looking chart, to be honest with you. You got a really nice move. The breakout was here. You had like a a double top breakout around 157s. It broke above that, traded slightly under that on Thursday, but then come right back. So it's in a pretty good spot right here, and a pretty solid daily chart. You should be able to at least see this thing work its way. Let's say we're strong, bullish, and all that kind of stuff. You should be able to see maybe a 165 to 167 run on this thing. Again, we'll have to see what happens. You know, the tariff, if there's something bad that comes out of the meeting or something bad related to tariffs, this is all off the table. But I think when you're just looking from a technical standpoint, you got about 167 in this chart. So I'm a little bit bullish here on that one. On the other side, I'm a little bit, not a little bit, but I am bearish on stuff like this Apple. And the reason for that is just because this thing is having a really hard time getting out of its own way. Now, I'm just talking about just the short term. If you're a long-term holder of Apple, that's great. You know, it's going to go higher at some point. But for right now, if you're a trader, momentum trader, this thing just, I mean, the market had been strong most of the day on Friday, and this thing was having a really hard time getting out of its own way. It wasn't until late you got this huge ramp up here. But other than that, if it wasn't for the tariff news there, then this thing would be dead in the water. Even with that, it's still red on the day. So you had one strong move that came Wednesday, which I forgot to mention. Wednesday, the Powell thing just turned this market on its ear and started ripping everything. That was really the only good day. So I think what I'm saying here is when I'm starting to talk about these shorts, I'm not saying I'm just going to start running into everything short, you know, first thing Monday. I mean, maybe that's what ends up happening. But I think you got to wait a little bit and see what happens here. But this thing feels like a short whenever this dark cloud or this particular storm of news overlaying the market passes somewhat and get a better picture. I think this is, because it's struggling itself to stay green. It doesn't even stay green at all. Another one here to look at is possibly Wayfair. Now, this thing released some news here about how their holiday sales were up. I think it was 58% over last year. Not a bad look, holding the 200 moving average. So you've got two ordeals that can happen here. One, this continues to flag and trade sideways. And if it does that and consolidates this move and then kind of re-gears and makes another move, you'll probably see this thing work its way up to 112 into the 50 moving average. If not, and things do turn bearish and we start selling early on in the week, then you might see this thing lose that 200 moving average and retrace a substantial portion of it. So then we're going to watch that one here. I'd also have to say Facebook as well. This thing has been somewhat strong here over the last few days. I mean, this one was dead in the water on Wednesday until after that speech, and from that moment you've seen about a $10 move out of this. So again, I'm not saying I want to short these first thing Monday, but you know, if there is some sort of a news event, we do get some sort of bump, we do gap up in the market, these will be the first stocks I look at, will be these ones that have made some enormous runs over this last week. Another one there to take a look at is, I'm going to type it in because I can't see it, is Etsy. I'm liking this Etsy up here off of 55 for a short as well. I mean, look at this, a very sharp V-shaped rally going right into resistance. So I kind of like this one here too. So there's some good looking stuff out there. For shorts, I do like Apple, I do like Facebook, I do like Wayfair, I do like Etsy. And again, when I say I like those as shorts, that's not my first play Monday. I just want to see how, you know, if there is good news Monday, we do gap up, those stocks gap up. That is where I'm going to go to look for premium, is I think the value will be shorting into all of that strength, especially since they've made such a large move already. And if we happen to tank, then just take those off the table. I won't chase a short. I won't chase a long. I won't chase a short. The one I do like long still would be BABA, but you know, that's going to be news sensitive. So the only thing we can do at this point is watch and see what happens, you know, and that's it. That's it. And if nothing happens, there's no deal right now, you just got to trade through it. These things happen. If you think about it, there's always something that's over top of the market. However, this one's starting to get a little bit ridiculous. And I think because most of the time, you know, the market takes it with a grain of salt. This one, it just seemed to be so sensitive about anything that came out, and the market would just rally. But again, when you think about it, it spent more time going up and rallying up off of the news than it did going down. So that's one way to look at it. Anyway, I'm going to wrap it up. It was a great month. It was a great month of trading. If you guys need help, feel free to reach out to us.
Support at thelinkedlist.com if you have questions. If you want to trade with us, visit the trade room. Just click on the trade room tab when you go to the website. We also have our mini camp course that's coming up here starting on Monday. Yes, Monday. So if you're interested in that, I'll put a link somewhere down in the description. Other than that, enjoy your weekend. Enjoy whatever you got going on. And this is to a great December. I'll talk to everyone soon. Take care and trade well.